we started to look at this and we thought, wow, how can we be telling students, at that time it was just being regulated, mandated in New York City schools that recycling had to happen in schools. And I thought, like, oh my gosh, like I'm a taxpayer, and like we have this regulation in schools that we have to have recycling in the classroom, and this is what the bins look like in almost every school out of 1,700 at that time. I thought, like, how is this possible that it could be so inconsistent that a teacher could say, recycle your paper when you get up from your seat, and then in the school cafeteria say, just throw it all away. It's fine. We don't have anything else to do with it. That was a great point because New York City schools are actually in the business of educating. And if you are in the business of educating, you can't just say, well, this time of day we're going to educate, and then when you go into the cafeteria, we'll just forget it there, right? So it was a good point to really push them towards making this change. And we proposed a 20% reduction. And we also proposed a partnership with Parsons, which is really great for me to be back here today because this is actually where so much of this work started. And by bringing Parsons in and the New School into this partnership, it actually validated the whole process. And I emphasize that because sometimes as a grassroots movement, you think, well, why would you need to have a university? But in fact, the university component was totally important to actually getting the school food directors to say, okay, you know what? We're going to go ahead with this. Okay, it's one thing great to teach everybody to be cafeteria monitors, work towards zero waste. But how do we make this lasting so that if the principal changes or the teacher who's going to be in charge of the monitors or the students change, how, which happens? They go to the next year, and especially middle school, they're there for 3 years, and they go to high school. How do you make it sustainable change? And we realized that if we didn't teach the why, and we didn't teach the why in a really compelling way, then it was all lost. So I thought, okay, here comes the next marathon. And literally, we went into every single classroom in that school. It was a big school. And we went and we said, we're not going to do this in an auditorium. We have to do this in the classroom. If we do it in the classroom, and we can pilot different ways of telling the story, then we know exactly where the aha moments are, not only for the students, but for the teachers. So part of why I'm here today is to encourage you to do a small pilot on anything that interests you, because we're such a big city, we're such a big world of these global issues. Do the next small pilot. I encourage you, take it, I'll partner with you, and let's try and collect data on it and share it and see, does it work in this one school? Does it work in this one community? Does it work in this one small town? And then how can we scale it up? That's what I'm personally most interested in.